What is going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Bobby Fi, Eric Sheets-Haber. We will have Rody joining us in just a little bit. We're going to talk through this NFL slate, which, of course, the first thing Sheets brought up when we got on air here today was what's happening with the baseball. Let's figure out what's happening with the baseball because, of course, we've got a massive Sunday slate and all this stuff, but baseball, yeah, it's a pretty big down to the wire for a lot of these teams, including your Yankees, and yeah, it should be kind of interesting for that one, and that the Guardians and the Indians, or the Guardians and the Tigers. Yeah, so a lot going on in the baseball world, and then we've got this big NFL slate. So, Sheets, before we get
you know what's cool? What's going on in this early game, like this early football game? Like you're starting to see. I mean, not starting to see like these studs like really start to assert themselves. You know what I mean? Jefferson's having a great game. DK Metcalf looks like freaking the DK Metcalf that we remember. I mean, the guy's a freak. I don't know, must stay in the greatest shape ever. The guy's a freaking animal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's guys good to see because like in the last couple of days or weeks or whatever, you saw. I remember I think the Thursday night game, like JSN took like till the fourth quarter to make to catch something, you know, whatever. But to see Jefferson like really be Jefferson, I mean, this is good for the league and good for football, you know.
Yeah, so we need to get these guys going again, and it's always a little slow of a start, but it's been really slow this year with the studs. But so it's nice to see it happening. I was a little frustrated on Thursday because my big fade was to try and get underweight JSN, and I was all over the Seattle defense, which was killer, and obviously in the winner. But I had it as like a captain, and it was looking like some good business. I was up like probably, I don't know, 10, 15K or something, and then all of a sudden I turned into a loss. So. That just happens in the last 5 minutes of the game or whatever it was. Anyway, any overall thoughts?
I ran a build, about a half an hour ago. I'm probably going to do another one after the latest injury stuff comes in, probably at 11:30 or whatever. I'm sure all the projections will update. I'll do it right after we get off of here. But I'm getting some, I mean, like really, really high ownership for myself on some guys that. I mean, they're good plays and all, but it just seems like a lot of money, a lot of exposure to be getting on certain guys. I guess we'll talk about it when we get there. We'll I guess we'll talk about it when we get there. That's my initial thing. And the other thing that again, major consideration for me when I'm building my 150 set is what types of constructions to allow. Like, do I want to allow QB plus zeros? If you want to allow QB, whatever's. And the QB plus zeros is always an interesting decision for me, and it's not that small of a deal because what happens is unless you have like really good QB plus zeros, if you allow them, you remember you're then giving up combinations from other stacks that you might want. So we'll talk about that, I guess, from a football perspective when we get to some of these quarterbacks, whether they're good enough on their own to allow yourself to grab some.
I'm very okay with the QB plus zeros. One, we've seen Josh Allen put up like 40 fantasy points before without a receiver really going off. We also have guys like Mariota who could get there rushing, at 4,500. So I'm okay with the QB plus zeros personally. And I've sort of changed my thinking a little bit, and it really depends on the week. If there's one game that stands out or a few games that really stand out as being like shootouts, but I've got a bunch of games today that I think are really interesting. And for me, like I mentioned, I guess my overall take is that these afternoon games are really good, and I think that you're gonna have some options if you can get the plays in the first parts right. If you mostly focus your stacks in the afternoon, that's sort of where I'm at today. All right, I'm going to share my my DraftKings screen, and we'll go by position here. We'll get Rody in here when he gets on in.
Yep.
And we'll do this. And also, my other strong take on this slate is just that I think the Saquon play is a dud. Now, look, if there was one, the thing about Tampa against running backs, there are some guys, some exceptions. You got Saquon can get there in a lot of different ways. He doesn't have to necessarily just be pounding it up the middle. But I just think that the James Cook and all the other guys, and we got Bijan Robinson and McCaffrey, and then you've got the cheap running backs. I think that Saquon Barkley, and it's kind of his ownership's faded a little bit. But that play just feels a little bit duddish to me. All right. Just because I respect Tampa's run defense. All right, the quarterback sheets. What are you showing up with so far? And I guess that's going to sort of lead us to probably to some of what you're stacking. But what are you getting to at quarterback, and who do you like the most here?
Well, not really. That's what I'm saying. So my my highest owned quarterback does not necessarily correlate to my highest owned receivers. So call me biased, call whatever. I just let Saberson kind of do its thing after I adjust my projections the way I want. But my current highest exposed quarterback is my hero Geno Smith, actually.
Yeah.
And it's a full amount. Like it's like 19%. That's a lot. that's a lot for me for a quarterback. So that's the top guy, and then there's a big drop. I have nobody else over 10%. The next two guys I have are from the that Ram game, but it's Daniel Jones. I'm getting like 10% of him, and then I'm getting 10% of the guy you just mentioned of Marcus Mariota, and then like two like just. I was about to say dart throws, but yeah, I guess so. So Jackson Dart, I'm getting like 7% of him, and then like super close your eyes. I don't know how, but I'm getting like 8% of Spencer Rattler. So that's my current exposures right now. But again, I mean, when I eyeball these, I'm like, how can I not have Caleb Williams? You know what I mean? Like, how can I not have anybody from the Ravens game? I have like 1% Lamar right now, and like 1% Mahomes, and we talked about this. You know what I mean? Talked about this, and I think that game is very right to blow up. How do I not have more than 4% Matthew Stafford, for example? So these are the questions, like philosophically, I hope to answer when I rerun my build. Hey, what's up, Brody? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
How's it going, Rody?
Just snuck in on you guys.
No, that's I like it.
Rody, by the way, Rody kind of low key has some weird Super Bowl combinations, like with his Chargers and Packers. I mean, they're not like favored really, but you get the good Chargers and the good Packers. Like those two can variance can go both ways, and you could have some fun coming February. Who knows?
I mean, there's a lot of talk on the Chargers. I mean, they're moving the ball better this year. I think they're not playing as like run heavy. They're wanting to use Justin Herbert more in their defense. Like I think Bobby on the James McCool show, you guys did the podcast. You guys were really talking Chargers defense is good, and you like them in the red zone. So yeah. I mean, they're a decent team, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I like that. And this could be their year. I really like that defense of theirs, and I just think that's the way you win playoff games. You can't score on them in the red zone, and also they're just tough, So I like those for long-term bets. My sneaky team this year was Atlanta, of course, who lost 30-0 last week to Carolina. So I don't know where I'm at exactly with my long-term bets. Although I do have a bunch of the I do have a number of the Chargers, but I've got a lot of the who did I have? I've got a ton of the Rams. I've actually got a lot of the team I think is maybe the best in the NFC is I still think the Lions have sort of been overlooked this year, and I think that maybe not anymore, but really have a ton of Lions stuff. Anyway, we were talking quarterbacks, Rody. Wondering where you're at and what you're getting to.
Did you guys talk about?
We can't forget what you're getting to, also, Bobby.
Yeah, I'll go after.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you guys talk about Justin Herbert any? I know you talked about the cheap quarterbacks, Geno, Rattler. I caught a little bit of. The cheap quarterbacks are good. Definitely a lot. Like I think on the podcast that James McCool and Bobby did earlier this week, talked about Rattler at 4,700. All these cheap quarterbacks, Daniel Jones on the other side of that, Matt Stafford, Caleb Williams. And Geno at 5,400. It's just so cheap. You're getting good points out of those guys that are really cheap. I know Houston's been struggling too. I'm going to throw a little CJ Stroud in there today. I think they got a good matchup, and I think they really want to get it going. They're hearing all the people like, oh, where's Stroud's offense? I think he throws for a bunch of yards today. So I'm hoping him and Nico get it going today. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'll let Bobby go.
I love the theory of that.
Herbert as well, a little bit too against Giants.
Yeah, I like the theory a lot of the Stroud thing. I'm not getting to it personally, but this, let's just say they are cruising in this game, getting comfortable. They're up a couple scores. I think you're going to still see them trying to get their offense going and throwing the ball. So I could see that being a kind of a sneaky play and maybe even like a hammer stack. You could probably pay to play those guys and the defense, if you wanted to get a little weird. But I think for me as of right now, and again, I'm very subject to change. I'm going to force in a little bit of Josh Allen. I'm going to force in a little bit of Spencer Rattler. But I've got 4 guys at 10% or higher, and Mariota by far my highest owned right now. Daniel Jones second, Brock Purdy third, and then Penix beneath him, which is sort of surprising that I ended up at Penix on this slate. But I like that Atlanta-Washington game, so I guess it makes a little bit of sense. The other ones that Trevor Lawrence just shy of 10%. I think what I'll end up doing is getting a little less Daniel Jones, maybe a little more Stafford, and a little more Geno. I do want to focus outside of Mariota and Penix personally on the afternoon games for quarterbacks. That's sort of where I'm at. So I don't care whether right now it says Trevor Lawrence or Matthew Stafford or Geno Smith or Caleb Williams or whatever, because I can just force those guys in later and when I late swap, and that's probably something I'm going to do. But really, I think that Washington Atlanta game, I've said this the only bets I've doing good on this year have been my on air. Okay, this is, I like this over, I like this under. I just think that over is like a near lock. And also I'm really mad at myself because there were talks of making a huge bet on the European side to win the Ryder Cup, and I just didn't have my friends place the bet for me. I can't bet here. So I'm very, very tilted because obviously the Europeans just running away with it right now. All right, we'll move over to running back. Lots to choose from. Why don't you start us off, Rody, and then we'll go over to Sheets.
Yeah, running back's a good one today.
It's loaded.
We got a lot of options you like CMC's like the clear option, but we have all these cheap guys. We got to kind of figure out what to do. Scattaboo against the Chargers, which we talked about for good defense. Hampton now the lead role for the Chargers that we probably want to talk about. He's in a high usage spot. Ashan Genti, I can't say that very well, but he's in a great spot against the Bears' crappy defense, right? And I like him also, obviously, like the passing game there too. But I mean, we can't forget about him. And then we haven't even talked about the big names like Taylor, Barkley. James Cook's in a really high play game there.
Yep.
He's projected well. And then you were just talking about Atlanta with Bijan in that game. So I mean, those are the kind of the top guys that I like today. I'm not probably going to get off the board too much. I don't have any really crazy plays today at running back. I like a lot of these top guys and some of these rookies that are getting the work. Even Trayvon Henderson for the Patriots, I think, will get a little bit work today against Carolina. I think you could go down as low as him at 5,200, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to choose from, and I think it's another day where we might be seeing the running back in the flex, at least as far as my ownership goes. I guess I'll go, and then I'll let Sheets close it out.
Sure.
My priorities are Cook, McCaffrey, Bijan, and those are my 3 highest owned. The one that they keep trying to give me, which I feel very concerned about on big slates, I love Kyren Williams as a player, but the Rams have made absolutely. I mean, I watched the when they give the game balls out, they love Blake Corum, and he's getting a lot more work than people were expecting coming into the season. They love him, and it worries me for Kyron's usage a little bit. That's my thing. Also, Indy's defense still may be good, may be very good. Hard to, it's early in the season, but they've looked good so far. So yeah, the spend ups for me in order: Cook, McCaffrey, Bijan, then Jonathan Taylor. And then when we get into the cheaper guys, Scatabo, Amari, and Hampton, probably going to be near the chalky field on those 2. Just my thing is just do not I'll end up with probably, because I'm playing a bunch of lineups, a little bit of Saquon. There is no way I'm ending up in double digits with Saquon. That's just not going to happen. I don't like this spot. I do Saquon, again, sort of a guy historically matchup proof, but I really, really want to emphasize, I say it every week, you don't play running backs against this Tampa Bay Bucks defense unless they're pass catching running backs. And even then it's only if there aren't other great options. And today we have so many great options. I don't see why we have to play Barkley. So
let me add, Kyren Williams is coming up a lot in Saberson for me as well too. I just got done with my build for what it's worth.
Yeah. He really looks good on SaberSim, and I actually manually lowered his ownership.
Gotcha.
I lowered his projection just by a point, just to try and get a little less of it. Sheets, what do you got at running back?
Yeah, so I'm going to attempt to go out of my skill set here and talk a little football here, and a little matchup stuff. because they're options, and I'm gonna listen. At the end of the day, I'm probably gonna let Sabresman kind of run its thing, but I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, let's go through some of these, and I'll come back to whatever. Get back to McCaffrey in a minute. Like Hampton looks fine enough. I mean, one thing about they do have a very, very athletic front four. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that it's like the easiest matchup. They do have a good possible game script, because they're a 7-point favorite. But one thing, I mean, the Chargers can throw it when they're up too. I mean, they're kind of prone to do a little of that also. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he's my hero as well, but like you said, I mean, who's done anything against the Rams? So tough spot there. What's his name? You just mentioned Saquon Barkley against that matchup. I mean, who's done anything there? I like the Bijan Robinson thing because I'm not particularly scared of the Washington defense. So I do like that. And then I'm going to go back to two guys like that we don't really have to worry too much about. So let's go back to who we talked about on Tuesday. I mean, you have James Cook, who's like they're a 100-point favorite, like against New Orleans.
I think it's the play,
and it's just like the easiest play you can make, honestly. It's not like he's $1 million. He's 7,100. I mean, how does he not get like 15, like as a floor? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like how does he not get that? And if this does become a game where Josh Allen can just kind of just do whatever, then James Cook, the only thing that could stop him from really smashing is blowout risk, and him not playing the fourth. So I don't mind that. But then, so Kyron Williams isn't really coming up too much for me, honestly. But then I just go back to like the easiest play is just to freaking just eat it with freaking McCaffrey. Honestly, he's got like he's expensive. He's got a kind of a nut matchup sort of, and he's actually run a little bad with his 25 points a game. You know what I mean? Like he got goal line stood up one time. He got stopped into 2 or whatever. I mean, for me, especially I don't know that San Francisco really could use a nice win as well. I mean, I think that he's like a lock almost.
Well, I'll throw one thing to be concerned about McCaffrey and just the Niners in general.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, for one thing, I like the Jags outright in that game. The Niners and Rams, and obviously in football, division games are so much more important in the NFL.
Yeah.
The Rams and Niners play on Thursday, and that's so just. It's just speculative, but I would just say
that's definitely a negative. You're right. That's definitely.
I just want to throw it out there as
that's definitely a negative
from an afternoon on Sunday to a Thursday. So I could see McCaffrey if there is some reason they're either in control or they're down big. I could see him maybe shading, but I still like him. I just wanted to throw that out.
That's fair enough. And the other one, by the way, that I forgot to mention has a matchup issue is everybody's freaking new superstar can't miss hero Cam Scatabo. I mean, look, he's good. Yeah, he's definitely outperforming the expectations. And with Tyrone Tracy out, it's like let's go, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, who's done anything against the Chargers this year? Exactly. So and it's not as if they're gonna respect Jackson Dart all too much. So I don't know. Listen, I think it's a good play. Mm-hmm. If he starts to steam like way too much, I mean, then again, it looks at 15% ownership. I guess that's not terrible.
Yeah, that's the thing is I think there's a lot of good options, but some of these situations are not so great. So maybe we need to kind of, I don't know. I was sort of flirting with the idea of maybe whittling some of that stuff down because like we do have Cook in an incredible matchup. We've got a lot. I mean, look at how spread out the running back ownership is today. Like everybody seems to be getting a piece of it. Like there's 12 running backs that are double-digit owned on DraftKings. That's wild. So maybe you could use that as a tiebreaker in some cases.
And I am getting, by the way, just to finish it off. I am getting a full 25% of Giante as well, who you mentioned. Yeah. Good projection, good spot, good everything. The running back again. McCaffrey seems like the easiest play, but he's 8,500. And if you want to play him and you also want to play, say, Nakua, who we're going to get to later, I mean, you're spending some money, So we'll see where we get.
Do you want to hear the crazy stat about Giante? And obviously, it's only been 3 games, but I believe he's the first player in the history of football in 3 games to have more yards after contact than yards.
Pretty funny.
That's pretty incredible. Which is also like a little worrisome for the Raiders offensive line, but that is pretty wild to have more. He's got 101% of his use of his yards after contact, which is just like you'll never see that again. Yeah. And probably not even after today, obviously. Hopefully not. Hopefully he doesn't get all of his yards after contact today. All right, we'll go to wide receiver. Let you start it off, Sheets, and what you got here. What are you looking at?
By the way, I would also like to say about this showdown slate, whatever that's going on right now. I mean, 45 minutes before post time, they announced that Jaylen Warren was out. Like, it's not like they announced it 5 minutes to post.
Right.
And Kenneth Gainwell was 44 freaking hundred.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know how you used to say, like, there were 2 types of DFS players in the world, those who played Kobe Bryant his last day and those who didn't. You know what I mean? To me, like 54% ownership on Kenneth Gainwell is like a complete insult in the lottery here.
It's stupid. It's honestly even just 20% as a captain, like it just feels like
no 14%.
Oh, geez,
at the captain.
That's crazy.
In the lottery, it's ridiculous. All right. Anyway, where do you want to go? You want wide receiver? All right. So you got to talk
wide
to me
receiver
about this. All right. Okay. So you have to talk to me about this. I'm getting 48% of.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with it.
Okay. So let's talk about is he getting this projection because they were hedging on Devontae Adams being out, or is he just getting this projection because he's just like the freaking nuts and we should pay $7,900 for a wide receiver? You know what I mean? Like, talk to me about this.
So basically, I mean, he's been the best receiver. I mean, work-wise, he's probably got the best role of anybody in the NFL. I mean, again, with a healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase will have something to say about that. With a healthy any real quarterback, Justin Jefferson may have something to say about that. But like the guy's had through 3 weeks, he's had 35 targets. He also has a 45-yard rushing touchdown. He gets to run the ball at least once a week. So 48 touches in 3 weeks. When you're averaging 16 touches a game, or that's not right. Sorry, that's not 48 touches. I'm sorry, I 38 touches. When you're averaging 12 and a half touches a game at wide receiver against a team that doesn't really have like anybody you're overly afraid of. Also, he lines up all over the place. He's just so actively involved. It's really hard to ignore him as being potentially the best option. I have him as my highest owned as well. But I would say that there's another guy, in a great matchup just beneath him price-wise in Nico Collins that may be the right pivot to do. I like the Nico Collins idea Nico Collins is one of the best matchups in football, and Nico Collins is getting 8% ownership at $500 cheaper. I think you could make a case for Nico Collins ahead of him. That's where I was.
So let me go through what I have here. So I have Puka at 48. I'll go right back to my 1.5x hero, Jacoby Myers. I'm getting a ton of him. I can't imagine why. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, but I guess that matchup, that whole game is like so good that I'm just getting that. Like I'm getting 30% of that. Then I'm getting the game script dude we talked about. I'm getting 27% of Chris Olave. And obviously that has like all kinds of like just what do they call it? Like macro risk. I mean, they could lose 45-0 in this game. You know what I mean? I think that's certainly in the cards. And I don't care what kind of game script you are. You lose 45-0, you're not getting right. You know what I mean? It's just not. But that I'm getting that now. And then other wide receivers, I'm not really getting too much. Like Drake London out of that Atlanta game that you talked about, getting some of that. And then I am getting the Devontae Adams. So which is begging the question, I'm getting 48% Nakua, 16% Devontae Adams, and like 2% Matthew Stafford. You know what I mean? Like, so it's very interesting the way this is all playing out now. And then what other 15%ers? I'll let you like finish it off. But I'm getting the usual. I'm getting about 15% Trey Tucker again. Let's go. And then I want you to talk about who I would have thought would be like 1,000,000,000% owned would be Deebo Samuel with what's his name out. So talk about him and talk about these other guys from Washington who I was expecting to get 1,000,000% of. these 3K guys that I'm not getting like any of. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think that with Mariota, that's probably the reason why you're seeing that. And it's also hard to know on the 3K side of things which ones to play exactly. What I can't believe is that you're telling me that neither Debo or Zach Ertz is going to have double-digit ownership. Get the hell out of here.
Right.
So, of course, Debo Samuel's my second highest owned receiver, and Zach Ertz is currently my highest owned tight end. So I totally agree with the thinking, and I think this is the right way to go. I love Drake London, and I will be with one of the 35% playing some Nakua. I think Devontae Adams is actually a great pivot.
I think it's
a little annoying with the hamstring and also the Thursday game coming up against the Niners, but I still think Adams and Adams looks great. He and Stafford get along great. This team is just like, I'm telling you, the Rams are going to be. I think the Rams are the other team that they're going to play the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. That's my prediction.
I'll tell you something before you get into some of yours. Rody, oh my God, the Steelers with another interception. It's like they've been in these games since like the 70s. Like nothing's ever changed. Like they play good. It seems like they play good defense and like just stuck it to teams with kind of suspect quarterbacks. Like since I've been alive, honestly. What I was going to say is something that I think about a lot in DFS. I never really put it to work, but you came up with a theme that applies to a couple of different spots. This idea that you have this big game on Thursday between the Rams and the Niners, and it's possible that these teams, I mean, quite reasonably, are looking towards that game a little bit. You know what I mean? It's a big game between the two of them, and maybe this week on Sunday, some of the better plays from both of those teams might not be as big of smashes as they otherwise could be. So like what I think about is if you could even like almost like set this weird rule, you know what I mean? That like if you're gonna like fade one bit of the Rams, fade and also a part of the San Francisco, just the idea that your concept is either right or it's wrong or something like that. I never really figured out a good way to do that, but I think
it's an interesting like talking point because I think there is some of that. The problem is it's still so early in the year. The Rams need to get wins, and also the Rams with probably the worst loss of the season last year. Well, actually, you put the Rams and the Ravens 1-1A for the worst losses of the year, where they should have won the game and they were crushing on the road.
Or how about the Roadies Packers against the Browns?
I don't think like that was just. I mean, honestly, the Packers with the way they played on offense in that game did not deserve to win. But to lose the way they did was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Rody, sorry about that. But what do you got at wide receiver, and what do you sort of think about some of this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page as you guys. Saber's giving me a lot of the Puka and the Devontae Adams as well. Obviously a lot of Myers and a lot of Chris Olave. Myers, obviously double-digit targets in the first two games. Last game obviously was Trey Tucker, but there's no reason that, Myers can't get it at the only 5,400 price tag. He looks really good in the game. Obviously, Drake London, it is giving me a little more Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall in that game, in that San Francisco game. I know you guys are just mentioning.
A lot of people are speculating on that one. People are saying that Jennings, maybe he's not a full go, but he plays and all this stuff. Jennings is one of those guys where if he plays, he tends to just go.
Yeah.
Just for what it's worth.
So yeah, I don't know why it's giving me a lot of that. I'm a little bit lower on Nico for as much Stroud that I was getting at quarterback in the Saberson build I got, but I'm a little lower on Nico, but I like that play. I like that game a lot. It's an elite matchup for Nico. Another one that's weird. I want to mention Chris Godwin is a full participant today. Yep. They did say that he's going to get a lot of work. So, I know it doesn't seem like the Bucs are that high owned anywhere, but that game's kind of sneaky, Eagles and Bucks, I think they're going to sling it more than run. Like I would be more on the passing side of thing, like Hurts to AJ Brown or Smith, run it back with like, a pass catcher in that game if you're going to stack that game up. Keenan Allen's another one we kind of talked about earlier, 5,300. A lot of these guys are so cheap that, you want to get to, but I like a lot of Ladd McConkey. I think they're going to get him going again today. He's getting a lot of targets. He's 6,500, but I don't mind pairing with him this week. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm a lot of exposure of those guys. So, yeah.
What about the other guys on the Chargers?
Ladd McConkey might be the third receiver on the Chargers.
What'd you say?
I think Ladd McConkey might be the wide receiver 3 for the Chargers. He's truly the wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
I think Quentin Johnston is the wide receiver one. I really do.
He's playing really well. Yeah, he is.
And that big body too. Like you expect him to get in the end zone a little bit more as the season goes on. I mean, he got in there twice the first week, so I can't say he hasn't.
Yeah,
but
he's made a lot of progress from last year. Like he was about to like get benched, I think, for like receiver 5 last year. Now he's like the guy getting all the touchdowns. So
yeah,
at 5,500, he's a good price. 5,300 Allen. That's just a really good unit of pass catchers. But Allen's getting a lot of work and Johnston's getting a lot of work. So those are probably the guys you want to go to. McConkey's definitely low owned. I'm expecting a big game one of these days, though.
No, he'll get it going at some point and put up it. Maybe make me look a little stupid. But I have been saying this. I've been beating down this Quentin Johnston tree because we're getting, like last week, McConkey was like 30% owned and Quentin Johnston was like 2% owned.
Yeah, big.
And Keenan Allen was 25% owned on the afternoon slate and Quentin Johnston was 5% owned. And Keenan Allen doesn't even play except for third downs and a lot of goal line stuff. He doesn't play every down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's playing a share, but not like every down. I did want to make sure I reminded everybody of a play that we talked about early in the week that won Cheats all the money last week, and unfortunately we're not going to get him as lower ownership, but we should be playing Trey Tucker. I think we should be 20% or higher. I really like the Trey Tucker play, and I don't know why we would go away from it. He's had 17 targets over the last 2 weeks, and they're divided evenly 8 and 9. I think that's a play that I could see paying off big time in a game that we like anyway. So, all right, we move over to tight end. Let you start it off, Rody. What are you looking at here? Because it feels like a lot of obvious stuff, but there's a lot of talk about Brock Bowers not looking good in whatever. As I've always said, Geno Smith never throws the ball to tight ends. And it's stayed true so far this year.
Yeah, that's been true for sure. Like that game should be high scoring. That's going to be an interesting afternoon game to watch. We're talking a lot about that game, with Geno as a top quarterback. Tyler Warren looks pretty good for the Colts. I've really liked him. He was a best ball pickup for me as well all year, all summer long. So I'm familiar with him. He's been playing really well. You got Juwan Johnson in that pace-up game with the Saints, going to be passing probably a lot. Hunter Henry's the big winner for them last week. We didn't talk about Drake May much, and that game's a good matchup. I don't mind Drake May, Hunter Henry stack again this week. I think you can do that. He's a really good price at 4K. You got the Zach Ertz play that you just mentioned. I am getting a lot of Mariota in my stacks on SaberSim. They do like Mariota, so Zach Ertz is a pairing as well. Kelsey's actually got a good matchup this week. I know everyone's kind of down on him a lot lately, but against Baltimore has been giving up a lot against tight ends. So he's got a good matchup, and they're probably going to be chucking the ball a little bit too. So those are kind of my main guys. I would throw a little Kincaid, a little Porter in there as well. But I like a lot of those main guys. I'll let you guys talk about the rest of them.
Yeah, we'll go over to Sheets. I'll throw out just a comment on one of the things you said. I don't think this might be blasphemous, but I said the same thing about Brock Bowers last year. So, and then it looked right, and now it looks wrong. I think Tyler Warren might be the best tight end in football by this time, like next year.
He's my most exposed on my SaberSim build. He's my highest tight end I got right now. I'm pretty spread out though, 10 to 15% on all these guys that I mentioned, most of them. So
that's sort of what I'm at too today. Yeah. But I just wanted to throw out that I think Tyler Warren, like, we might be looking back at this guy going, okay, we were playing this guy at like whatever he is today, 4,800, 4,600. This guy could be 6K by like mid-season, maybe even higher. That's where I'm at. Sheets, go ahead. What do you like at tight end?
Brock Bowers, I guess. I mean, I have missed the highest owned guy. Yeah, okay. Geno Smith doesn't throw to the he's not even a tight end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't care. I'm going to try this. And then Tyler Warren, just for all the things you just said, I think Brock Bowers and Tyler Warren are two guys going to put up over 20. You know what I mean? Like at the tight end position, and that things go their way, and I think that's in big GPPs that's kind of what you want. I mean, I'm getting like that's why I don't like to look at my freaking exposures. I don't want 17 freaking % Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of him too.
I like Juwan Johnson a little bit today.
Yes. I mean, you know what I mean? But the same things I said before. I mean, for a team that's going to score 13 real life points, probably, like it's just hard to say, okay, Brock Bowers should get 2 touchdowns on his own and lose. Right. You know what I mean? Like it's so I don't know. And then other tight ends I'm getting, like Hunter Henry. Sure, why not? And then really, I'm not getting much anybody else. I mean, to tell you the truth. So Brock Bowers, Tyler Warren, those are my favorite. You know, you get to the Juwan Johnson, just hope the rest of your lineup does well, I guess.
I like the Juwan Johnson play. I believe he has the most targets by far for tight ends this season. I think he does. He's had 8 or more in every game. They play obviously the fastest pace, the most games, the most plays are projected to be the Bills and New Orleans. New Orleans, you'd imagine, would have to throw the ball. Johnson to me is the same thing as Chris Olave play. And actually, I think it's pretty close between those two. If you had to pick one to stack with Rattler, because I don't necessarily want to double stack Rattler, but they're both there. I have Tyler Warren as my highest owned as well. Zach Ertz is my second highest owned. I really like this Zach Ertz play. Yeah, he's older. Yeah, there's reasons to be concerned and everything. But we have no McLaurin in a game where it's in a dome against an Atlanta team that sort of plays in these wonky games. It feels like a spot where Zach Ertz could really get going. And for what it's worth, it wasn't like a huge week last week for him because they didn't need to do much offensively. But the weeks previous, and I know those were with Jaden, so it's a little different. But he had a touchdown in each of the first 2 games of the season. We know that with I don't want to say young quarterback, with backup quarterbacks, they tend to look for tight ends a little bit more. So that would be my other guy, the only one I wanted to add to what we talked about. But those are my main ones. And I am also spread out. I have Juwan Johnson at 10%. I've got a lot of that 10%ers at tight end. Brenton Strange is one that's maybe a little off the board that I like. Kyle Pitts is another one, which whatever, people love to hate on him. I'll play a little bit of him. And the most interesting one is, look, in football, Sheets has brought this up to me before, either the guys play or they don't really, you know what I mean? It's not like they're going to go out there and just do whatever, So I kind of like this idea. I don't know. I'm trying to talk myself into it or in or out of it, but I kind of like the idea of of maybe taking a shot with Isaiah Likely or going back to Mark Andrews because people are afraid of playing him because of Likely. So that was the other one that I'm sort of considering. All right. We'll talk Sheets' favorite thing, defenses. Reminder, generally don't want to play more than 20%. Maybe you could go a little higher today if you really liked one, but I don't think you have to. I'm pretty spread out at defense, but I'll start off with Sheets and then we'll go to Rody.
So you want to know another idea for football? I don't know. Maybe I just enjoy this too much. But you know what they probably should do? They should put in everybody's helmet on the field, like a little indicator if there's a flag on the play, in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Not so they stop playing, just so that after they do something good, they don't run all the way to the freaking end zone and make a human pyramid out of 11 guys and celebrate with their things, only to have it called back like 10 minutes later. You know what I mean? Right. At least have a little thing saying before you go act like a moron after the play. Or I'm sorry, not act like a moron. Okay, boomer. Before you celebrate in the team of humanity, let's just make sure there's not a freaking flag on the play before you waste everybody's time. Anyway, defense. Second to everything you said about that, and I thought that I was going to end up getting 7,400% Texans defense. And have to give a speech about why you should be reducing it to 20. But I actually am only getting 22% of it. I mean, they're going to be the chalkiest defense, I think, by a landslide. And I guess for good reason, Tennessee hasn't done anything in a long time, and Houston is a very good defense. That's just, it's the way it is. I don't think that Cam Young is going to be let loose. Not Cam Young. Cam Ward, sorry. Is going to get let loose to maybe – the Texans don't have this huge ceiling, but yeah, they get strip sacks. I mean, they're the best play. Then the one I really like, this is, or whatever. This is you got to really hold your nose. But I'm getting 20% Raiders against Caleb Williams and all that game environment.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah. So
they turn the ball over.
We'll see if I get that at the end of the day. But that's the other one that I have. So those two, and then basically flip a coin for the rest of it, I guess.
Yeah, I'll throw out.
Wait. Before I say that, last week, Bobby's big call of the whole slate was on defense, specifically 3 teams, one of which was the Vikings. So. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. And I will say that this week's, I actually think the best defense on the board is the Chargers. And again, you have Jackson Dart in his first game. I know it's a road game for Tennessee. I think that they're better than, but the ownership is close enough. But the Chargers, I think, are to me a little bit better than the Texans. But both of them are terrific options, and those are my two highest owned. So that's where I'm going. And then also you got to like the Bills a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to have some interest in the Lions,
Yeah, I'm getting some Lions and Saberson too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if there was, the under 3Ks, I like the Rams and I like the Falcons. Those are my under.
Man, no 2K flat Saints. Our first 2K flat.
Oh, it is our first 2K flat, isn't it? I got 2% of it.
Enjoy. Go for it. Enjoy.
45.
It really is just one play. You know what I mean?
One play. Yeah, but if defense scores like they did last week with block kicks and all these touchdowns,
hey,
you're going to need the 30-point
Listen, you know who we didn't talk about from that
Right.
game? We talked about this a little bit Tuesday. What about Alvin Kamara?
Yeah,
we
good point.
talked about it as a possible nice game script play. If they have to come back, and remember, Buffalo plays that kind of annoying zone, and if Rattler doesn't want to try to force shit in there, he might just kind of just look for him a lot, and maybe he gets one garbage touchdown, and who knows, maybe he can get 10 receptions in this game. I think it's possible.
I like that. I like that idea as well. If we're going to talk about Olave and Druon Johnson, we should throw Kamara because he's going to get plenty of catches out of the backfield in that situation.
Yeah,
I totally agree. I have like 9% of them. I probably will end up with a little bit more, but it's still pretty far ahead of the 4% owned that he's going to.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'm under on him. I'm only about 3%. So
that's about where I think that's close to where the field is going to be, to be honest.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on defenses, Rody?
I might try some of these Saints and Titans at 33 or 2,300 are pretty decent, I think. I mean, Houston hasn't done anything. I do think they're going to wake up today, but I mean, I still have to play the Titans defense at 2,300 against a team that's not really pushing it too much. Yeah, and I like your calls on the obviously Texans and Chargers defense. I got Lions and Raiders a little bit too, and Saberson build. I don't know if I had another cheap one. I did even throw a couple Browns in there at 2,200. But like I said, when I build, I kind of mix them all these cheap ones up, and I'll have the Texans, then I'll have like this, the Titans at 2,300, in the next build,
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's fair.
That's just kind of what I do. So I'm liking how it's a little spread out though on the Saberson build with these 4 or 5 teams at the top around 13 to 17%. I'm kind of liking that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to go, I'll do my bold call. Well, this is a weird bold call because I got to force this guy into my lineups, but I think Jameson Williams has 2 touchdowns today. And I think one's for a 40-yard pluser, and I think one is going to be a pass from Amon-Ra St. Brown to Jameson Williams. That's my bold. I know it's a weird call to have. I don't even know if there's a way to bet that, but I have a feeling the Lions with the situation, especially with an over-aggressive, like a really fast pursuing front line for Cleveland, that they're going to run some big bomb plays. And they like to do those trickery ones. This might be the week where they can open it up a little bit and we get the Jameson Williams really big game. So I know it's been my play before, and it's actually been pretty good so far when I've made it. But I do like the Jameson Williams to potentially have a monster day. And I really think in these afternoon, I guess my other big bold take, and again, I guess call it a terrible take. I think one of the Lions or Bills lose.
Wow.
I don't think I can't talk myself into how exactly, but I look at the odds and I'm like, okay, I think it's, plus 850. The Bills, I still don't believe in that defense entirely. I don't know. So that's my really bold takes for the day. Anything you got, Sheets, and then we'll go to Rody to take us out of here.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. And they're exactly the same things that I said on Wednesday, if anybody remembers. So the first thing I will say is that I think this Kansas City Baltimore game can deliver more than people think, and it's also like weirdly buried in the afternoon slate. You know what I mean? Because obviously the Raiders game is going to look the best or whatever, and you get Worthy back if I'm not mistaken, right? For Kansas City, and Baltimore's given up a ton. Okay.
Yeah.
So and this is like not usually my style to play Mahomes, really, but I think that they're I would say due, but they need to put up a good offensive performance one of these days, you know. And I think that this is a good opportunity for them to do that. And on the Ravens side of it as well, you can play Zay Flowers, and you could certainly play these quarterbacks, you know, and you just see like this slate. Somebody won $1 million with like a 2% on Lamar somehow. You know what I mean? Like
or a 5% on Derrick Henry.
Or a 5% on Derrick Henry
in that game. You know what I mean? Derrick Henry, we didn't talk about him even. Nobody's talking about him.
So that's the one bull take. But the other one I have, and again, I don't know why I'm going to give the whole story leading up to this. Okay. You mentioned the Rams-Eagles game was like the weirdest finish, like of all time, pretty much.
Yeah.
Not of all time, but the blocked field goal leading to the miracle cover for the touchdown and all this stuff. And then all of Philadelphia was jumping all over each other except for freaking Jalen Hurts, who had this freaking look on his face that like, we just got freaking outplayed. Lucky to get out of here with the freaking win, and I'm walking off the freaking field before I get pissed at myself. I think it's time for them to freaking put it up there. And given everything that you said about Tampa, like not being able to, you know, you can't run against them, I think like Hurts to the receivers in Philly is a freaking great freaking play this week.
I love that idea.
That's my kind of bold take of the week.
I like that a lot. All right, Rody, anything you have, and then take us out of here when you're ready.
Man, I like those takes for some of my big lineups, so I might hand build some of that in here. I like the Hurts call there a little bit, and then that Baltimore game. You're right about those big games. You know, everyone's going with the cheap guys, but let's go with the pay ups for a little bit too. So, I don't really have a bold take. I think Houston gets it going today a little bit. I think they're a good stack, as well. I know everyone's not going to be on them, but give them a shot.
I like that. I think that was a really good bold take right off the bat that you had. That's a really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to just stick with it because I started with it earlier. So, I got them in one of my bigger lineups. I'm going to stack CJ Stroud and Nico Collins. So, good luck everyone today. As always, let's get it.
Let's go.